We didn't ask for an HOA. They crept in like a weed. Some suburban developer bought up land near our east pasture, built a row of stucco houses with fake shutters, and dropped a gleaming sign that read, "Whispering Oaks, a deed-restricted community." Suddenly, we were neighbors with golf carts and people who thought wild turkeys were aggressive pests. The problem wasn't the houses. It was the president of the HOA, Carol Witherspoon, aka Karen Supreme. She was the type who wore reflective aviators while walking her designer dog, drove a Lexus SUV slower than a tractor, and acted like her clipboard was a badge. When she found out our ranch bordered the HOA's newly paved walking path, she decided it was her personal mission to integrate the neighborhood. First, it was letters, then photos of our property line, then a petition demanding we remove our electric fence for aesthetic and safety reasons. Now, this fence had been there since my grandpa built it 40 years ago. It wasn't some hobby setup. It ran 5,000 volts and was clearly marked with bright yellow warning signs every 20 feet. We used it to keep our longhorn cattle from wandering too close to the road and to discourage nosy folks from treating our land like an extension of their backyard. When the letters didn't work, Karen came in person. Grandpa was sitting on the porch, whittling as usual, when she marched up with her poodle and a clipboard full of printed HOA bylaws. "You can't have an electric fence next to a walking trail," she snapped. He didn't even look up. "It's legal. Been here longer than your neighborhood." She scoffed. "It's dangerous. Someone could get hurt." "Only if they ignore the signs," he said, pointing to the bright caution placards strung like Christmas lights across the fence line. She stomped off, swearing she'd take formal action. 2 days later, we noticed someone had cut the fence near the west side. The power was off. One of our calves got out and ended up halfway down the main road before we wrangled it back. That's when Grandpa got serious. He replaced the cut wire with reinforced galvanized line, added 2 more warning signs, and reconnected the transformer. The fence hummed back to life with a low, satisfying buzz. We figured that would be the end of it. Then came Saturday. I was in the barn when I heard yelling. Not the usual arguing or animal commotion, but high-pitched, furious screaming. I sprinted around the corner and saw the most ridiculous sight I've ever laid eyes on. Karen, legs tangled in our wire fence, hair sticking out like she'd touched a Van de Graaff generator, lying flat on her back in the mud. Apparently, she had tried to climb the fence to inspect it herself, lost her balance, and touched the hot wire with both hands. We cut the current immediately and called an ambulance. Even Grandpa looked mildly concerned, though he muttered, "Damn fool had it coming." She was fine, a little fried, a little embarrassed, and a lot quieter from then on. The sheriff came by to make sure everything was legal, and it was, fully up to code, clearly marked, on our land. Turns out, Karen had trespassed, damaged property, and ignored posted warnings. The HOA tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, but after a few threats of a countersuit, they backed down fast. Karen resigned from the HOA a week later. The new president, a soft-spoken retired teacher named Bill, dropped all complaints about the fence and even apologized in person. As for the fence, still standing, still humming. And now there's a brand new sign under the old warning label. "High voltage, yes, it's on. Ask Karen." High voltage.